And we start with the latest on the coronavirus situation in South Korea. The country is forecast to reach a grim milestone today as daily infections are expected to hit an all-time high nearing 4,000 cases. Officials say they will review implementing emergency plans if the situation continues to head towards its breaking point.
For more on this and other related updates, joining us in the studio is Choi Min-jung. Good morning.
Morning.
Daily infections, as Mo-kyun just mentioned, are skyrocketing. The weekend effect that we normally see with lower cases towards the start of the work week diminishing.
Right, so South Korea is expected to see a record high number of infections today. From midnight to 9 p.m. on Tuesday, the country reported more than 3,500 cases. This is already surpassing the all-time high figure set last week, which was close to 3,300. And like you said, figures tend to climb up as we get further into the week because fewer tests are done over the weekend. But even when taking this into account, it's still a huge jump. The capital Seoul saw a record-breaking figure with more than 1,500 cases. And outside the capital area, a major cluster infection broke out at a religious settlement in Chungcheongnam-do province. Since Sunday, over 230 people have contracted the virus, and it turned out 92% of the people were not vaccinated.
Now, Min-jung, not only we're seeing high number of infections, but we're also seeing high number of critical ill patients. How are authorities dealing to solve this problem?
Right, so health authorities are currently considering the implementation of their emergency plan if the current situation worsens. So if the emergency plans come into effect, the measures for a gradual return to normal will be suspended and strict social distancing rules will likely return. Health experts are urging authorities to quickly hit the brakes to prevent further resurgences, saying that the further loosening of the current eased measures under Level 2 seems unlikely. However, for now, officials say there is no immediate need to enact an emergency plan, despite the difficulties it's facing securing hospital beds.
One of the ways the government is trying to tackle this situation is ramping up its vaccination campaign. The vast majority of adults have already been fully vaccinated in South Korea, but how is this process moving along for those in the younger age brackets?
So teenagers aged 12 to 17 are once again able to book their COVID-19 vaccines. The initial round of reservation has ended, but the government has decided to allow more bookings from Tuesday as students are returning to classrooms. The decision also comes as the risk of infection among younger people has been increasing. Over the past 5 days, more than 1,700 students from kindergarten to high school contracted COVID-19. With the easing of restrictions, which started earlier this month, daily student infections surpassed the 500 mark for the very first time. So those who have not yet gotten shots will be able to make reservations until the end of this year.
Now, Min-jung, while the domestic front is under pressure, we hear that there's some good news for those traveling abroad.
Right, so South Koreans traveling to Saipan will no longer have to go through quarantine upon arrival. Starting December 12th, South Koreans arriving in the island will be exempt from the 5-day hotel quarantine. And of course, this is only applied to those who have been fully vaccinated. South Korea and Saipan formed a travel bubble agreement in June, but quarantine was still a must. Another country that is part of South Korea's travel bubble agreement is Singapore. Since last week, when the first group of Singaporean travelers came to South Korea since the outbreak of the pandemic, more than 1,000 Singaporeans have visited the country.
Well, that indeed is some good news. Now, thank you so much for your report. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thank you.